Here is the second video of dating tips strictly for the bald guy alone and nobody else. I think you get the picture. Have another picture within a picture.
Here's what I consider to be a very practical tip for bald guys when dating. Know things. Know things. Now, it is as important as for bald guys as it is for everyone else. But who wouldn't want to date a guy who knows a lot of things? When two girls get together and they talk about their boyfriends, for all I know, maybe they just throw confetti at each other. I don't know, but I think one of them will say, "Oh, my boyfriend's so great. He knows a lot about Greek history." Even though you'll have very practical use of Greek history or Richard Dawkins. Actually, yeah, I mean, how important is evolution in everyday life? Probably not very, but how good is it to know how it works? Debatable, but it definitely makes for interesting conversations, especially when you're pitted against a fucking dum-dum, okay? You can explain, yeah, you can give someone a pretty good synopsis and everyone will just sit there with their ears peeled. Wow, this guy knows so much stuff, even though you might just know the basics. It will make for a very interesting conversation. And guess what? Who cares about what women think about this stuff anyway? Shouldn't you want to know everything for yourself? Because who knows what sort of opportunities you'll have from things you learn. Now, for example, this book. It is Herodotus, the Histories, and it is essentially the first history book of the Western civilization. I haven't gotten around to reading much of the sort of other parts of the world in terms of things that are this old. This is, I think, around about 500-ish BC, something like that. Wow, I should know that, I'm reading the book. Yeah, 5th century BC, so yeah, like between 400 and 500 BC roughly. It tells you how people lived, what sort of ships they built, how much of the world they actually knew about, which is strange. They didn't seem to know much about Northern Europe and things like that, which was only a stone's throw away. But they didn't. They knew about India and other places much, much further away. But hey, there you go. I mentioned Richard Dawkins. This is another book. The Selfish Gene. Did you know this is where memes were invented? Memes. He coins the term memes. Boy, it's been probably like 10 or more years since I've read this. Memes, the New Replicators, chapter 11, on page 189. Memes. See, you could pull this out and in the middle of a conversation, you can tell people where the original idea for memes comes from like 1974-ish, six, yeah. Surely you're aware of this, but most books have an index at the back, which is kind of useful if you're studying a particular topic. Sometimes you don't want to read 10 books. that might have a few pages each, like this one will have 20 pages of memes. So you just go in the back, meme, 192 to 201. Okay, this section is about how genes work. I'm not going to go into that. Read the book. Everyone read this book, The Selfish Gene, read it. But here is precisely where he coins the term meme. Okay, the new soup is a soup of human culture. We need a name for the new replicator, a noun that conveys the idea of a unit of cultural transmission or a unit of imitation. My meme comes from a suitable Greek root, but I want a monosyllable that sounds a bit like gene. I hope my classicist friends will forgive me if I abbreviate my meme to meme. If it is any consolation, it could alternatively be thought of as being related to memory, or the French word meme. It should be pronounced to rhyme with cream. There you go. He just coined meme. That's something you could bring up in a conversation, and I'll be damned if anyone thinks that you're a boring person after that. You'll probably blow everyone's stupid minds. Uninformed minds. And no matter how much you know, you still know nothing. Okay? I wish I had much more time to read. I've been reading this thing for like a year now because I've been renovating this house and I just have not had the time. I'll read a few pages today, a few pages in a few days, and it's just dragging on and on forever. I'm on 366 right now, and there's about 600 something pages, whatever. I'm trying to pick up the pace, but I've got to get this thing out of the way. It's a relatively thick book. I have a bunch more I haven't read up there, they're just waiting. And I don't like to have too many books waiting. I like to have 1 or 2 books waiting so I can just, I don't like to have them pile up. So, read books because you will be a much more interesting person to have a conversation with. And that isn't just women, that is in general. A lot of people don't like being, what's the word, preached to? But fuck them, okay? People that don't want to learn anything, why are they in your lives, alright? Surely everyone's glad to learn something. And if someone else knows more than a particular topic, why should you be insulted to have them teach you? If they think that you feel superior to them because you know more than they do about something, well, that's a pretty limiting way of living your life. How are you supposed to learn anything if you won't admit that other people know more than you, regardless of who they are? I don't know anything about, oh boy, let's say language, Chinese. I know very little about the Chinese language, and the most uneducated Chinese peasant knows next to infinitely more than I do about Chinese. So, regardless of who this other person is, it's very likely that he can teach you something. So, never be offended by someone who's trying to teach you, regardless of what you think about them. Always be willing to listen and learn. And I hope that you encounter the same attitude from others when you try to talk to them. And like I said, it's not about, well, I didn't say it. It's not about, it is, damn it, what am I even trying to say? It is about trying to make the world a better place, but ultimately you'll just have better conversations. Here is my wife, who's going to shut my mouth by kissing me probably, so toodles.